Welcome back, folks. Dow right now is down 600. You get the Nasdaq off 224, S&P's off 60. Let's go over to our man, Mr. Basil Chapman. And folks, our man, Mr. Basil Chapman, of course, does an outstanding show here every trading day, 12 to 1 Eastern Standard Time. As you come over to TFNN, you're going to see right under featured content, all-day two-part webinar, entries and exits when trading. Basil's going to be doing a workshop. This is going to be on December 14th. The workshop is going to go from 9 a.m. to 4:30 in the afternoon. First part is going to be from 9 to noon. Second part is going to be from 1 to 4 o'clock. Bottom line is that outstanding workshop. We're going to bring our man, Mr. Basil Chapman, on right now to review exactly what he is looking at. What's going on, Basil?
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Yourself?
Very good. Thank you. What a market, huh?
It's a beautiful market, man.
Well, you see, this is the perfect thing because we're in, for anyone practicing techniques, this is exactly the time. We're even intraday. In fact, if you look at maybe 3 or 4 days worth of point move, that's like a month or two in normal time.
Easy, exactly.
So this is really a perfect time to be able to develop some techniques. Most packages that people have, you can have the it's like the mirror image of what you're doing, but in fact it is just, you don't have to actually put the trades on. You can practice the trades. So this is a time to be able to do it because patterns that I look at and talk about all the time work a lot of the time, and that's what you want. You want the averages with you. So I've spoken about some very simple things, and that's what we do in the very first part of this whole day's. It's really a live webinar, and I'm going to have interaction with the participants. I want to know what they're thinking, what they're doing, what they're about to do. And I'm going to talk about patterns that are really simple. You can see here in the Dow, there's an arch formation. I've learned a long time ago that sometimes you see a sharp move down and then there's a bounce.
Yes.
That bounce can fail. And if it takes out the left side low, you've got an H pattern, lowercase h, that's failed. And they can go on in my CD introducing the Chapman Wave methodology. I show these patterns, and this is something that we're going to go through a lot. But sometimes you get a very large H, and that becomes a lowercase m because there's another arch. I've been talking about this for weeks with my subscribers. I said, we're expecting the arch pattern. So I'm going to teach how do you use the H pattern? How do you use the inverse, the cup pattern? How do you look at, you see these trend lines right here? These are just simple lines. I've taken the tops of candles. I've taken one line just about 3/16 of an inch lower. I've drawn another line. And that becomes a repellent line. And look what happened. We were speaking about this just the other day. I said to you, there's a spike up that's very much like the midterm rally that went to 26,277 in the Dow. But this time we've got a trend line. Look at the way that trend line hit and it pulled back. And today we're testing the wick of yesterday's reversal candle. Now you can see there's a simple line. I've got a trend line, a red trend line there. That trend line is so important. It comes in at about 24,300. We're at 24,356 right now. You can see the same thing in the monthly. So when I talk about these things as fractals, in other words, if you learn a pattern, you can learn it. Yeah, I'll show you something very interesting. You can learn it in a short term. On my show this morning, I was talking about this peak D, the fourth highest peak in the 10-minute chart. It went right there. I'll teach how this MACD, this is the MACD line. You see that green line? Look out, it went all the way up with the price, and look what happened. When it crossed negative, I'm going to teach how you can use 2 moving averages to start, even if you haven't got the position. That's when you can start the position, and I'll roll this out. Look, the green line at the bottom hasn't yet, even to this minute, and that occurred at 10 o'clock this morning, hasn't crossed positive, so that anybody who was short, you could have been short all the way through because you haven't got a crossing of the 2 lines. So I'm going to teach some really simple techniques. Isn't that? And that's a 10-minute chart, and it's applicable right here to the to look at the weekly chart. Has the same pattern. It's coming down. They haven't crossed positive yet, so it's applicable. And I'm going to make it as simple as possible. H's, arches, cups, and these are the formations we use all the time. How to use trend lines. Where do you add? Where would you take profits? Would you short right now? And if you did, what would you do to have to cover it if you were wrong? It's just, these are the basics, and we're going to go through them over and over. Patterns I'm looking at, time frames, how you can use the left side and the right side with a plumb line in the middle to say the X number of bars coming down. There could be X number of bars going to that exact top. I'm really looking forward. I want a market to do that because I want people to be able to practice live as we're doing it. We can say, what are you going to do now? Okay, now you've got the 2-minute chart. Let's imagine it was a daily chart, but you really wanted to hold this for the weekly chart. Can you go to a 10-minute chart, treat it as if it was the weekly chart? What would you do? Where would you put a stop? Would you take some profit? It's just perfect timing.
And, as Basil's speaking here, folks, so specifically what happens is this. When you have these fast markets, right, as Basil said, markets in general, don't move like this. So it can be 2 or 3 months to get the type of movement that we're getting in literally, 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, folks. And what's so cool is that what ends up happening is that you can teach, we're very good at teaching all the technicals, folks. When you see it simultaneously, it's a different ball game,
Live.
Yeah,
Live,
it's just what I've found is this, is that, and then you want to, it's getting used to the markets. That's what it comes down to. So
correct.
Check it out, folks. It's right on the front page of TFNN. You won't be disappointed by the workshop. Basil does a great workshop. This is going to go all day long next Friday. And if you can't make it live, just always remember it's going to be archived on your site. So go to TFNN. We're going to see our man, Mr. Basil Chapman, right? And featured content. You can check it out. The workshop, folks, is $495 for the day. So great workshop, great education, and we certainly have markets, folks. That's for sure.
And $495 is one little mistake for 3 minutes during the day.
Oh, totally. Totally.
So I think it's a real bargain. It's for what you're going to get. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Listen, you have a great weekend, a safe weekend, and of course, we look forward to the show next week. And bottom line is that volatility is here, baby. Watch out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Basil. Have a great one, man. Have a safe one.
You too.
So markets out here, folks, you got to remember something. Coming into a Friday also, in a down week, it's really hard to go positive. Who wants to step in front of a steamroller that is coming at you? Particularly, folks, because what you did have happen out here, is that the markets are very deviant, meaning that you almost had a comeback yesterday, but yet, as I said to you at the beginning of the show, that monster uptick, that was trouble in paradise. Now, this monster uptick came back at us right away. It doesn't have to come back at you right away. Most of the time, it comes back in 1 or 2 days. The way this market is closing right now is going to be a problem on Monday morning. And that's one side of it. The other side of it, folks, the quicker that this market gets down to that high volume spike low that I've been looking for, the better off that, everyone's going to know, are you down here with volume, you're down here without volume. If we're down here with volume, it's big problems. If it tests with lighter volume, then guess what? The range is going to be 4,000 points, folks. When you get a 4,000 point range inside the Dow Industrials, a 400 point range inside the S&Ps, guess what? That's heaven, folks. Stay right there, folks. Come back when I'm at Mr. Dave White.